birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard. Here it is, Hump Day, midweek.
Yes, and tonight is going to be the debate, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
First Republican debate for the primary. And I don't know about you, but I don't think it's going to be as interesting without Trump. However, I do think that this will give Vivek a spotlight.
This is, I think Trump has made the right decision here because otherwise it would be all about him. They'd be everybody be taking pot shots at him or whatever, at least the Chris Christie crowd. And it would just be about, these indictments and everything else. It would be all centered around that. So let's hear what they have to say. This can't be a debate because there's too many people there in the first place. But at least we'll get to hear from the candidates. Interesting, Brittany, this morning on Fox and Friends, Brian Kilmeade, one of the great reporters and anchors there, they're in Milwaukee. And Milwaukee looks nice. Mm-hmm. Apparently they don't have, they don't have maybe they've got police that are still on duty or something along those lines, and people still care and have civic pride because they didn't see a lot of homeless people or anything.
Well, if they've taken a note from L.A., they usually just clean it up before those events.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
We'll see.
But they were doing, but Brian was doing man on the street type thing about the debate. And some people said, they don't care, they didn't know it was on. And then he gets into, they have boat rides, pontoon boats on the river. And he gets in there and there's a young couple that runs it. By young, I mean, these people still look like maybe they were in college. And he said, now, can you name anybody on the debate stage? They could not. Not a single name could they come up with.
Were they Republicans?
He didn't say one way or the other. He was just doing, asking people what they were thinking and who they thought was going to win. There was one guy that named about 6 of the people that were going to be on stage, but he couldn't come up with the North Dakota's governor's name, and neither can the rest of us.
I didn't even know he was running. I was like, who is this person? But apparently he's allowed to be on the debate stage, but they're prohibiting one candidate who has some name recognition from being on that stage tonight.
Well, Larry Elder, who ran for and might have come close to unseating Gavin Newsom as governor of California, had the fix not been in, of course. But Larry Elder is not going to be on the stage tonight, which is pathetic, and he's not happy about it with good reason.
As you can see, I'm at LAX en route to Milwaukee. I was just informed by the RNC that I'm not qualified for the debate. Why? Even though I exceeded the 40,000 individual donations required, even though I signed the pledge to support the eventual nominee, even though I submitted 3 polls where I was at least at 1%, I was informed that one of the polls is not eligible. It's the Rasmussen poll, even though it was the most accurate poll in predicting that Donald Trump would win in 2016. They say it is affiliated with Donald Trump and therefore it is not eligible. And I said to Ronna McDaniel, the chairwoman of the RNC, it's not affiliated with me. She said any poll affiliated with any candidate is not eligible. And no one told me that until just now. So we're filing an emergency injunction to get me up there. This is absolutely BS. One of the candidates, by the way, offered a $20 gift certificate for a $1 donation. That apparently is okay. Another one offered a free, air quotes, country western concert for a $1 donation. That apparently is okay. Another one offered a commission to prospective donors to get other prospective donors. That apparently is okay. But I did it the old-fashioned way, asking people to support me by going to LarryElder.com, and that is not okay. And now all of a sudden, I'm not eligible. It is designed, in my opinion, to make sure that Ron DeSantis is a nominee. Anybody other than Trump. This is BS. I will see you in Milwaukee. Out.
I hope so.
Oh, well, here's the thing, Bill. This is the whole problem with Ronna still being in charge. Do not forget that she is a Romney. Let's not forget this. She is definitely establishment. She's very, I I don't think that she's done the right thing by the Republican Party. And
they reelected this witch for whatever reason.
well, I'll tell you why. Because the people that are up in those positions are not grassroots people. Those are not people of the party. They are they're committee women and committee men. And they're the ones that make that decision. And guess what? Ronna McDaniel gave them positions on different committees. And I'm sure some of them got the Lululemon that we spent so much money on. And maybe they had nice flowers at an event once or twice because we spent a lot of money on that too. So Ronna McDaniel won that seat because of her being friendly with people and giving them committee assignments and different things. So that's how she's still in that seat. Harmeet Dillon is the one that should be in that seat
Exactly.
right now because we needed someone really strong for 2024. And now we have Ronna McDaniel. You see what she's doing as far as making up these ridiculous rules for the RNC debate. And now you have someone like Larry Elder who is now fighting to get on the debate stage, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous. Very well qualified. Would be happy with him in the White House, no problem whatsoever. This guy loves America. He knows America, and I just love how he took Charlemagne the God to the woodshed when he said, "How dare you?" Because it was that debate back in 2020. When Charlemagne the God, oh please, had Joe Biden on, and Biden made that outburst: "If you don't vote for me, you ain't black." And he said, "How could you let a white guy come in here and insult you like that?" Well, what was I supposed to say? Well, maybe you should have stood up for yourself.
I don't know. I bet you if it was about Trump, you'd figure out what to say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, really, because exactly.
And here's the thing about the debate, Bill. I still am not 100% sure that it won't be about Trump. Because I do think that Chris Christie has a bone to pick. I think Ron DeSantis has a bone to pick. And I think Mike Pence also has something to say about Trump. So although he is not going to be there, I do think that it still will be a lot about Trump. And I do think Vivek will carry the conversation tonight. That's my prediction. And I do think he will try to keep them on topic because I do think he's a straight shooter. And he's been very good in all the interviews that he's done, and he has done a lot of interviews.
He sure has.
And that's how he's getting ahead in these polls is he is not depending on mainstream media. He's going on individual podcasts. He's doing a lot of different things, and most of his campaign is self-funded.
Yeah. And you talk about grassroots and things of that nature. Vivek is just one of those people who has sort of come out of nowhere. Did you know maybe 6 or 8 months ago who Vivek Ramaswamy was, or could you even pronounce the name if you had looked at it and say, what, who, huh? This guy is well qualified. He is well spoken, and he has a great base, and he's building it from the grassroots level, which is exactly what you have to do when you come out of nowhere.
Well, and I do think that he did write the book Woke Inc., which I think gave him some credibility initially. He's run a few billion-dollar companies. And, there are some things about Vivek that have come up as far as, his link with Soros and things like that. He has gone into great detail on, the scholarship that he was on. And it was actually George Soros's brother, who is now long dead. So he did answer for that. And I think that there was something else that people had questions on. But he's been very straightforward. I'm always a little bit cautious with anyone. I don't think anyone is all good or all bad. None of us are, but I do think that...
Only been one perfect person. Look what they did to him.
Yeah, so I do think that Vivek will come out the all-star tonight.
So, yeah, I couldn't agree more. But I think a lot of the others will do well. I think Tim Scott will do very well. I think that Nikki Haley will do well. And 2 South Carolinians, so right across the river, that are again, well qualified. And the other argument they're making also is that running for vice president. That they were, Nikki said, I've never run for second place. So this isn't
okay.
Because a lot of people are saying because they're trying to get the name recognition out there, and that they don't have a chance this time, but maybe they'll be picked as a vice presidential candidate when Donald Trump gets the nomination.
Yeah, I think in reality, Nikki Haley has no shot. Tim Scott has no shot.
Oh, I didn't say that. I said they'll do well. I didn't say they had a shot.
Yeah, well, and I think, so for me, I think that these are vanity campaigns. I think that a lot of people should have dropped out. And they're wasting resources and money that really does need to go into local GOPs, state GOPs, and the national GOP to start competing with the Democrats. We spend our money in the wrong places. And this is, I mean, they're just stifling resources, in my opinion. I don't like the fact that we have all of these people that always run for these offices and they don't have a chance to win. I hate to say it. Tim Scott is lovely. I'm not a huge fan of Nikki Haley, but they just don't have that charisma that you need in order to win a presidential nomination.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think they ought to. I hope they'll take the advice from Scott, who was a former governor of Wisconsin, that did so well.
Yeah, we can remember his name. I don't even know who you're talking about.
Okay. There was a governor of Wisconsin, Scott, who they tried to get rid of him on a couple of occasions and recall votes, and he won by landslides. But the last time they had a Republican governor in Wisconsin, but he said, "Don't make the mistake that I made," and that saying, running on my record. He said they don't want to hear about your record. They know your record. That's why you're there. What they are looking for is for people to what you are going to do for them. What are you going to do as President of the United States? What are you going to do about the financial situation? What are you going to do about the border? What are you going to do about the energy crisis and that sort of thing? So he said, don't make that mistake. Tell people what you are going to do.
Yes, and his name is Scott Walker.
Scott Walker. Yes. I was trying to think of Scott Welch. We got Tony Welch coming up, who was the head football coach at Jenkins, in a response to the football situation, that the games that had to be suspended on and actually called on Friday night. So we'll get Jenkins' side of the argument right here coming up right after the break. But
before we go, Mary's with us this morning, Mary McCann, hype reader, and she said it will be all about Trump. He is a front runner and they will say anything to attack him. And then she says, Nikki is a warmonger. Mm-hmm. I will say that that's the thing that is really frustrating about some of these Republicans is how much they are willing to spend on these endless wars. It's become quite a problem, and I think that we're seeing it now on the Democrat side, which is so bizarre to me, Bill. Mm-hmm. Like, Democrats used to be 100% against war, and now they're the party for war. I don't understand.
Well, because it's working in their favor.
It makes money? Is that what I understand?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, start the war and furnish the ammunition type thing.
Yep, always follow the money.
Yeah, and this is a great story because you wonder, you have a great organization like FEMA, who comes around for disasters, and we're reaching these peak hurricane season. Would you believe that the Federal Emergency Management Agency says it's running out of money? This is the one that just showed up, it was Johnny on the spot for Katrina, Hawaii. And then Johnny on the spot for Maui.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, did you also see the letter that FEMA wrote that they are requesting people to not take any photographs or release them?
No.
Yep. If they agree to go in and help in Maui, they do not want any photographs or any video taken or released.
Now, why would that be?
Great question.
It's a federal agency that you pay for through the nose, and they're censoring stuff for what reason? National security purposes? I doubt it. But they said that they could affect their local recovery effort in the event of a natural disaster, because we're reaching peak hurricane season here. The biggest, the most active hurricane month usually is September, and that's only about a week away.
Yeah, and on the screen is that letter that was sent out by FEMA to an organization that was going in to help in Maui. So quite interesting that they would want to restrict that.
Wow. Interesting. Administrator Deanne Criswell, who is totally incompetent and not doesn't have any business being in her job, but then again, you could say that about anybody in the Biden administration, told CBS Face the Nation that that there's $12 billion might not be enough. That is, well, maybe
they need to live on a budget.
Yeah, exactly. Like kind of maybe like the rest of us. Congress ought to try that as well. We do it here in Georgia. We do it in South Carolina. Might want to try it. All right, coming up next, that situation of that ball for the second year in a row, the Jenkins Benedictine High School football game had to be suspended because of some miscreants in the stands causing trouble. We'll get Jenkins' side of it coming up next. Coach Tony Welch, head coach and athletic director of Jenkins, fights back.
She trains at 6 a.m. every morning. She spent years working to shave off seconds. She's the captain of her school's team. He's just a mid-pack finisher. But not today. Unfortunately, this competition was over before it even began.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding. Say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
A very unfortunate set of circumstances on this past Friday night at Memorial Stadium here in Savannah, in which the Benedictine Jenkins high school football game had to be called before the game was over. Benedictine awarded the victory, leading 42-0 at the time. Early in the fourth quarter, they were getting ready to send in most of the subs from both sides, actually, but it didn't happen because some miscreants in the stands, somebody, could have been adults, that were causing all the trouble, and it didn't have anything to do with the people that were on the field, and unfortunately those are the ones who were affected the most. Had a chance to talk with Benedictine coach Danny Britt day before yesterday, and yesterday I had a chance to speak with the head coach and athletic director at Jenkins, Tony Welch, about the situation and what they're going to be doing going forward. Coach Welch, I know it's been kind of a rough week for everybody, but what can you tell me, right? What do we know, and how can we go forward from this?
Well, we were, like I said, it was never a situation with our kids, and so, and a lot of people, when they was looking at the situations and stuff, and we just tell our kids that we can only control what we can control, and,
Exactly.
and that was our actions on the field. Our kids and were in order, and they were doing the things that we have taught them to do. When stuff breaks out that's out of our control, we want to at least make sure our kids are safe. That's the first thing, and then we move forward. And it's just it's been unfortunate that Jenkins High has gotten a black eye per se, because what happens when the people that eventually, when it was found out who was involved, none of them was from Jenkins High School, and so it's disappointing to our school. It's disappointing to our principal, Ms. Handy, and to me as the head coach and athletic director that something happens like that. But as I told Dennis Knight, what can I do? My piece is to control what's on the field, and then let the other people control what's outside of the field. And it was a situation that it wasn't controlled very well, and so. And when it does that, then it hurts the kids, because now you can't finish and you can't do things you want to do.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's so disappointing to them that you couldn't finish the game, and so it's like a black mark on the record there.
Right, absolutely. And the thing with it is and people have been pointing fingers about our fans, but you got to understand it wasn't all of our fans. There was a lot of good people that was up in those stands that was doing absolutely nothing but trying to prevent from getting hurt or prevent fights from starting, and so you just get a bad stigma about your program, and it really has nothing. We have some great fans, we have a great community, and we have a lot of support, and we just needed to get information out that, hey, things happen, and when they look at this situation, well, you can honestly look at that these things haven't just started in Savannah athletic events, so you can go back years and stuff happens, The thing with it is that, I know our district is putting together a plan to make things better. and to move forward in a positive direction. And that's what we all have to do, My thing with X's and O, we got to get better, and we will, and we have so far. And just like I said, we're gonna still be at Jenkins High School. We're gonna put a good product on the field, and we want our fans to keep coming, supporting us, and we just want them all to do the right thing.
Well, to be the best, you got to play the best. You're playing back-to-back state champions, you're rebuilding a program here, and I know it had to I think your kids performed admirably as far as the circumstances. It wasn't your fault what happened on the field, and the kids didn't have any animosity toward each other.
No, not at all. We played, and when we go look at our film, which we have done, even when we were evaluating our kids and stuff, we played much better than we played last year, and it was a big thing for us to be in the game. There was no big plays. Our offense couldn't get it going, and part of that is that we've only been on the field once in the last 7 or 8 days because of the heat, and we can only do so much film. We can only do so much in the gym. We got to be out, moving in space, cycling in space, running plays, and offense is always a timing, and defensive always are ahead of the offense at early in the season. But the heat has caused us to stay in, and I don't tell the kids a lot of time because I don't want them using excuses. It is what it is. We still got to prepare. And we're probably not the only ones that didn't get a lot of time outside, but we have to look at what's best for Jenkins. So this week, the temperature is agreeing with us. And so we was out yesterday, and right now it seems like we're going to be out again today. And we'll have a better product on the field on Friday, and that's going to be a televised game on WSAV, and we're going to be over in Bluffton. And we just let them know we're going to have a better product. And our kids are still grinding. We got a lot of kids in our program. Our freshman team played yesterday, and they beat Groves 22-0. So the spirit is still there. That's a Groves a lot there. Okay. So we're just like I said, we got 127 kids in our program.
Oh, good.
And that's good numbers. And now we're trying to teach them football and how to do stuff right on the field and in the classroom and in the community. And what better teaching point is that we don't act like that when we're around people. We shouldn't act like that.
And I know the other stigma is that this is the second year in a row that this has happened with the same people, and it's like that there's something there, and really there isn't. I mean, there
really isn't. There's no animosity between BC. Me and Coach Britt, we talk a lot.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the kids that go over there have played with our kids or against our kids at some point. And last year is more of a YouTube hoax. At some point everybody's going to start moving, and that will happen. But you never know, because people started coming over the rail and those type of things. Well, that didn't happen this year. No one really came over the rail or anything, and it happened in the stands. And so we just have to understand that we want to continue to play BC, and I'm sure they want to continue to play us because, like I said, we want to play the best, beat best. And right now, they're at the pedestal. Not only in Savannah but in the state. So we want to make sure that our kids are competing and playing against the best, so that when we get down the road, the entire region, which has helped us, because since I've been here for the past 2 years, we've been in the state playoff. And so that's the goal again. But this time we want to advance out of that first round. So.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's one of the things that I used to rail against when I was a sportscaster here years ago. That most of the local schools didn't play each other, with the exception of some of the public schools. That Country Day never played Savannah Christian or Calvary, or that. Fortunately, that's changed, and I think that helps build the crowd.
Yeah, I used to be the head coach at Memorial Day, and the recruiters used to come down, and they said, we had some kids, that they were looking at. They said, usually we get to 95 and we go north to south. We don't come into Savannah, But those days have changed, because the city's not only known for a basketball city, it's a football city, along with our other sports that send kids off to college, So it's opening doors. So we're just trying to keep a good product on the field and be positive with all our athletes, because my thing is that I'm the head football coach here, but if I know there's other schools in this area that has good football players, when the coach comes and, hey, look, you need to look at this kid over at BC, or you need to look at this kid at Bradwell, or Savannah High, I'm not selfish, because it's representing the city of Savannah.
Absolutely. What have they told you going forward here? What have you heard from the school system and the police and that sort of thing?
Well, right now, I've not heard anything. I know we'll get a statement and some information from John Sanders, who's our district athletic director. But our thing right now is just to prepare. Our kids are knowing we all have fight plans in place, and so you have to fight. You have to practice those. Unfortunately, we can't have a fight plan in the stands. You know, I don't control that and practice that. But I know one thing is I know they're going to probably beef up the security and have. I think the meeting that they had a lot of other people that was involved with the focus group, so that now we can get conversation from not only from the community, but from law enforcement, and then for the people that manage the games and those type of situations.
Yeah. How do you feel about your team going forward? Every team has a personality and things like that, and you've been in this business long enough to be able to spot what, this looks good to me. This is what we need improving on, but there's positive directions we can go.
Well, one thing that happened is that a lot of time when you win and you watch film, you didn't play as good as you thought you did. And then when you lose and watch film, you didn't play as bad as you thought you did. And so we really didn't play bad, and our kids got something to grow on. We're moving forward. We want to get a win this Friday because we don't want to go 0-2. Once again, it's a tough team out of Bluffton. We have one of the toughest schedules in the state. As I tell people all the time, last year, out of in the Elite Eight, seven teams that was on our schedule was in the Elite Eight, and 4 played in the state championship game. So, we're coming back, and we're going to play hard. We're going to work hard. We're going to get better. We have to shore up our special teams, not necessarily the process of what we do, but it's the process of getting them in line to say, hey, third down, when the special team, we're supposed to be ready. And those are some of the things that we didn't do or didn't have a chance to do in the spring. In our scrimmage, because we only played 8 minutes because of the weather. So we didn't even have a scrimmage game against Liberty.
Wow.
So some of those things we could have got corrected then, and then put a better product on the field on Friday. And my thing is improving daily and putting a better product on the field to represent Jenkins High School and the city of Savannah.
Coach, how do you feel as far as get the team sports these days? It helps the kids get out in the fresh air and sunshine. They're not looking at their phones or their computers all the time. This really helps, and we need to maybe expand this and get more kids involved in team sports.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The program when I got here, we had probably 55 or 60 kids here, and Jenkins already had a good program, but we're up to 127 kids now, and part of that is that they want to get involved. The parents want to get involved with something, and I am a person that, I want my kids participating in every sport that they can, because it's warrior pride first. It's not just football. We want them in everything, because we want each program to be successful and strong. And one of the things that we send a message with our football program right now, and we're going to pass it on to our other sports, is every morning you wake up, you have a chance and a choice. God's giving you another day for a chance. He's woke you up, and now the choice is yours. What decision are you going to make today? And how things and crime and those things are going in the city now. You're not promised to go home or make it home from practice every day. It's just not a given anymore. It used to be where I know I'm gonna make it home, but these days and times it's not necessarily given that I'm gonna make it home. So our kids understand that making the right decisions is gonna be at the top level as far as what I do on a daily basis. And we tell all the time, I had a pastor in Clarkson, we used to always talk about, he told us about how many decisions are made in a day, and there's over 3,000 decisions. And you really don't think about it until you think about it. Because you wake up in the morning, what I'm gonna put on? Well, I'm gonna brush my teeth first, I'm gonna take a shower. What I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna drink coffee, I'm gonna drink tea, I'm gonna drink water. And so you really don't think, but when you start thinking about it, that 3,000 number gets real close.
There it does,
So,
yeah.
But chances and choices, getting our kids out, and just being a leader towards them, showing that there is a different way of doing things. And our thing is being strong on the field, strong in the classroom, and strong in the community.
Well, Coach, I wish you the best, and thanks for your time. And also, I'm sorry that Jenkins has had to bear the brunt of this. Anything we can do to help, just let me know.
Yes, sir. Well, like I said, we're strong. Our alumni is strong. Our administrators there are real good. They support us. They understand what goes on, and we're just going to move forward with all of our programs, not just Jenkins football, but all our programs need to be strong, and we'll do well.
Super. Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
That was great. Coach Tony Welch, thank you for your time, and best of luck the rest of the season. And get this. We need to get this all straightened out. We'll talk with Terry Enoch, also the chief of police of the Savannah Chatham County School Police Force. I still can't. When I was when I was going to school, we didn't have a Chatham County Police Force. The city and the county took care of that. And the sheriff's department. We didn't have their own separate police force for the schools. That's how bad it's gotten.
Yeah.
Meanwhile.
Well, Steve Stanton, before we go to break, he says Bill is still watching Fox, so we don't have to, because I'm not watching the debate.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
there's a
still
lot of
watching
people
Fox,
that feel that way.
So you don't have to.
Well, and a lot of people, they are competing with Trump still, whether they like it or not. Debate numbers will come out, and it will be interesting to see who tuned into the debate and who tuned into the interview with Tucker Carlson, which could be interesting.
Mm-hmm. We'll let you know. Meanwhile, the President of the United States generously took time out of his vacation that he was taking to recover from his vacation to go to Maui for a couple of hours. And we'll talk about that coming up next.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke. When I grow up,
I want to be hired based on what I look like.
rather than my skills,
I want to be judged
by my political beliefs,
I want to get promoted.
based on my chromosomes,
when I grow up.
I want to be offended
by my coworkers, and walk around the office on eggshells,
and have my words policed.
by HR. Words like
Grandfather.
peanut gallery,
Long time no see.
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety
And do workplace sensitivity training.
all day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder.
just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist. I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work. Introducing the #1 woke-free job board in America, redballoon.work.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding. Say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
And we'd like you to help us out.
Yes, you can donate, subscribe, advertise, invest, or you can like and download our app. So support our work here. We are working to get more news coverage here locally for the local spin and Get Real America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also tell you the truth, we don't have any corporate woke, suits sitting around telling us what to do, what to say, how to say it, and threatening our jobs if we don't.
Yes, so we need your support because that's the only way we survive. So
Exactly.
thanks so much for becoming a member, those of you that already have, and please
We
become an
appreciate it.
advertiser as well.
Yeah.
So,
Tell all your friends.
Yes, and Mary McCann Hydebreeder's with us this morning, and she says hiding something. She's referring to the stuff going on in Hawaii, and they are staying at the Four Seasons, also referring to FEMA.
$1,000 a night rooms for the folks who are out there doing so much to help out. Yeah, and one lady wrote in to Jesse Waters last night on Fox saying that I went out there to volunteer, and I found a hotel room for $100 a night.
Absolutely ridiculous. These people need to live on a budget. But here's the other thing. There's not enough of the American people that are paying attention to what they're spending the money on, because there's still people that are like, I don't know if I believe in reducing taxes. It's like, how could you not? We're being taxed at like between 30 and 50% of our income right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but these people are staying at the Four Seasons because they work for the federal government. So that's exciting.
Which means that
we're paying for that.
We're paying for that.
Neither one of us have ever stayed at the Four Seasons, so that's interesting.
No, I did walk in one and have lunch in Boston once. Met Barry Manilow. It was nice.
Yeah. Didn't get to stay there though. Mm-hmm. So Biden made a trip out to Hawaii. He received he
managed to interrupt his vacation in Lake Tahoe to make the long voyage.
Yes, and people of Hawaii were not too happy to see him. I believe he was met with the middle finger and also the F word. So
yeah, it sure was.
But CNN, they think he's doing a great job. They think,
don't they though? Yes,
his trip to Hawaii was the best one yet.
Yeah, the same group that told us during Katrina about what a rotten job that George Bush was doing because he wasn't there and wasn't there the second after the hurricane hit.
President and Dr. Biden spent several hours both over Lahaina on the ground here and meeting with both first responders and victims of this tragedy at the big shelter, the War Memorial Shelter in central Maui. And he said the right things in many cases. When he came to the microphone to give his statements, he said the thing that a lot of folks I've been hearing from for 2 weeks have been saying, that he wants Maui, the people of Maui, to help determine how this place is rebuilt. There was a question as to who will have the most influence in that conversation going forward. Locals here, working class Native Hawaiians and multi-generational locals, are worried of disaster capitalism, people moving in to exploit this and buy up as much land as they can in this paradise and rebuild it for their interests as well. The president promises that won't happen. It remains to be seen. There's a lot of forces at play here right now. He did serve as empathizer-in-chief after 5 days of being mostly silent on the issue publicly, but the governor said he was working behind the scenes to assure first responders that the feds had their back on this. He shared the stories we're familiar with of losing his daughter and wife and wondering if his sons had survived a car accident early in his political career, and that's what so many people here are going through now. The list of the missing, according to the mayor of Maui, was whittled from over 2,000 by the FBI and authorities down to around 850 now. That still seems impossibly high this many days, almost 2 weeks now after the fire broke out. Forensic anthropologists, though, say historically scenes like this can take months or even years to sort out the missing. You can hope there's still some confusion as to who's on that list. But the real heartbreak is to think about the children who were left home that day. There are parents in this town who lost their kids. There are kids who lost their parents. We're unclear if the President Biden was able to meet with any of those. We know he did meet with Archie Kalepa, a historic figure here. Uncle Archie, as he's known, a Hall of Fame waterman who led a lot of the relief efforts from a sort of a cul-de-sac command post that we went into as well. Some of those who have been very active on social media were at the table, at least with President Biden, for the few hours he was here. But now all eyes are on this place to see how soon they can find that huge number of missing and make peace with those families, and how exactly they will rebuild. Bill Weir, CNN, Maui.
I think that his reporting is kind of atrocious, but
yeah, I'm so touched.
He was there for a few hours. He could make a few hours.
Dr. Biden was there too, who's not a doctor. Nevertheless, did the historic figure there have a divining rod to find water to get to those folks that needed it 2 weeks ago?
No, you should not be praising any of the things that happened.
Absolutely not.
This was terrible. Their actions are horrendous, whether it's incompetence or whatever it is. This was a horrible response to this devastation.
And the people were not happy to hear that he almost lost his wife and his dog or his cat and his '67 Corvette in a kitchen fire. A story that 20 years ago was proven to be inaccurate.
False. Yes. Lizzie Warren's with us, and she says they were screaming FJB. Who is going to rebuild on their children's cemetery? It's always about him, meaning Joe Biden.
Well, he learned that from his old boss, the Dalai Lama, because it was always about him.
It's ridiculous. I can't imagine why these people are so upset.
Yeah.
Mary McCann Hybrider says, is this what they mean by build back better? And as long as Carol Miles is with us this morning, she says, as long as Joe's car survived the garage fire. Yeah, that's the most important thing, right?
Yes, sir. That 67 Corvette, boy. Yes, sir. We're glad we saved that baby.
Well, the good news is that Joe Biden was really attentive on his visit here.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have some footage of that.
We sure did. Yeah, this is him, as a matter of fact, sitting there paying close attention to what was being said here.
Wow, just really wide awake, isn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think he's praying.
That must be it.
Yeah, I think he's praying that this is all going to be taken care of by the good Lord.
Oh, he's awake.
There he is.
And he might not back off.
Maybe he was texting.
Yeah, or looking at his watch. I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah, just like he did when the soldiers came home. The 13 soldiers came home from Afghanistan 2 years ago.
Well, I think that's the other thing that happened in the last couple of weeks was that during the remembrance ceremonies of Afghanistan, a lot of those Gold Star moms and families.
They are not happy campers.
No, well, because all he does is talk about himself and his kids and how he lost Bo. I mean, while it's a sad story, it's not relevant to what's going on right now.
And how many different ways did Bo die? He came home in a flag draped coffin. What other excuses has he used? He died of cancer. It was brain cancer, as I recall, and it was terrible. And he seemed like a really good guy. He was served us honorably in the service. Unlike his other son, who was riffed out of the Navy for being a drug addict. How many more different stories is he going to have to tell?
Well, and it can't always be about Beau Biden or the Bidens. Like, it just cannot be about that all the time. And that's the one thing that is so infuriating about when he goes out. He doesn't talk about what's going on with these people. He talks about him. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah. Know how you feel. Oh, do you? Okay. Then how things on the beach in Delaware.
Yeah, and Steve Stanton Sr. says if only the Republicans could be of one voice on every issue like the Democrats. Yes, but unfortunately, a lot of Republicans think for themselves, which gets us into trouble.
Yeah.
So,
independent thinkers.
Yeah.
But right now, one of the things that we like the Republicans to be doing is jumping up and down and screaming over this indictment because tomorrow Donald Trump turns himself in to get his mugshot and everything else, and held on $200,000 bond, which of course he'll post without any problem. Could be $20,000, 10%. But the fact that there was a felon that this witch in Atlanta released on a $100,000 bond only a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, she definitely is not doing her job. Really quick, I want to finish out the comments.
Yeah.
Mary Hybrider says classic narcissism. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Biden. And Lizzie Warren says these children died alone, screaming in pain and fear. Yep, and he didn't really go into that. He didn't really talk a lot about that. And a lot of the officials in Hawaii are not willing to say much about those children.
No. We're getting very, very little information out of there, with a few exceptions of some reporters, and the Fox reporters, whether you watch them or not, are doing a sensational job of trying to get the word out, especially Will Kane, who, by going on the radio with Clay and Buck, and also a pitch that he made when he was doing a live spot from the media-free zone that the Maui mayor tried to throw him out of because he has property there, and says, I'm allowed to be here, and they ain't no media-free zone crap. He's raised over $2.5 million now to help these people just on that alone. So most of the independents are doing a better job than Feeble.
Well, they are, and also the thing is they are also encouraging people of Lahaina to dox any any reporter that's in there. They want them doxed, their location put out, so that they can be found and not allowed to report on what's going on, which just seems so absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah, once again, we're giving banana republics a good name.
That is very true. But when we get back, we're gonna hear from our friends at PragerU.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gay, so what?
Have you ever boarded a plane and thought to yourself, I hope the pilot is a transgender refugee? Have you ever gone to the emergency room and said, I hope my medical team is incredibly diverse? Have you ever moved to a new city and said, I hope the police department hit its equity goals for the year? If your answer to these questions was no, if you just wanted the most qualified candidates for the job, then you are normal. But we have a lot of very not normal people running America these days. Left-wing politicians believe skin color or gender identity should determine who gets the job. Democrats used to care about the middle class. Now they just care about your race and your gender. And as long as Democrats stay in power, it will just keep getting worse. Stop the bigotry. Stop the insanity. Paid for by Citizens for Sanity.
Who is a kid? Well, that's a kid. And another. Look, a gaggle of them. Or is it a herd? Litter? Pride. But what about her? Tell her she's not a kid. Or him. So how do we tell who is a kid? Height? Age, maybe. But some of us have to grow up faster than others. A kid. A kid. A kid wants to make the world better. And one day, he just might. Is a kid fearless? Vulnerable? Strong? Nervous? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a ride. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding. Say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard here this morning. We always hear about, in fact, we run the spot about, do you worry if you're going into the emergency room whether you have a very diverse operating staff? If you get on a plane, do you worry? I certainly hope the pilots know their pronouns. When you get, when you're going to have somebody, teach your children math, do you hope they know arithmetic rather than whether or not they're transgender or not? So if you're gay, who cares?
Well, and if you're a gay conservative, so what?
Yeah, really. Prager University does the most magnificent job of putting out videos explaining to people just common sense logic. Give some great history, warts and all. And one of the things that they have is that gay, conservative, so what difference does it make?
I'm a Christian, a patriotic American, and a free market, shrink the government conservative, who also happens to be gay. What I mean by that is, my values define me, while my sexual orientation sometimes feels more like, well, a footnote. Literally, in fact. I came out as gay in a footnote in my book, end of discussion. When it comes to my political beliefs, my orientation is only one part of the story. It's not the totality of who I am. Some unimaginative leftists like to claim that this qualifies me as a self-hating gay person. This is so boring. That intellectual laziness only underscores my point. Far too often, people are sorted by their gender, or their skin color, or their sexual orientation, or any other immutable characteristic that has nothing to do with ideas or values. To be candid, in my day-to-day life and work, I spend a lot more time thinking and writing about the failures of Obamacare, for example, than I do about LGBT issues, whatever that term might mean on any given day. Just like any conservative, I want taxes low, the military strong, and don't even get me started on single-payer healthcare or late-term abortion. I'm a conservative because when I think about these issues critically, I usually end up on the right end of the spectrum. It's that simple. Here's the thing. I fully recognize how fortunate I am to live in a time and a country where I can be openly gay and live a normal life. And that's in large part thanks to the hard work of gay rights activists who've paved the way for people like me, people who had it much harder than I do, and people who likely wouldn't share my politics. I am genuinely grateful to them. But it's a new era now. Why ostracize members of our community who don't toe the left-wing political line? Exit polling shows that in the last 4 general elections, between 14 and 29% of LGBT voters pulled the lever for the GOP. That's a lot of us. Now, does that mean that we all support every element of the party's platform? Absolutely not. In fact, I know that many conservatives, including some here at PragerU, don't see eye to eye with me on all of these questions. And yet, here I am, making a PragerU video, which perfectly illustrates another really important point. Conservatives are often much more tolerant of dissenting views than those who fancy themselves the torch carriers of open-mindedness. Nope. Cross the left on a hot-button social issue, and you're out. You see, some on the left believe that they're entitled to control the thoughts or votes of certain groups of people, namely minorities and so-called victim groups. For some, it comes down to a cynical calculation. Without the overwhelming support of those groups, the Democrats would win very few elections. That's why the left lashes out so viciously at anyone who wanders off their assigned reservation. I suspect conservative women and Hispanics and African Americans know exactly what I'm talking about. The truth is, the left isn't entitled to a damn thing. To paraphrase my co-author and friend Mary Catherine Ham, we didn't get liberated in order to be told by liberal activists precisely what we're allowed to think or how we must vote. A free-thinking, free citizen of a free country is not obliged to believe anything because someone else believes he or she ought to think, or ought to vote, or ought to rank his or her priorities a certain way. Look, I get it. Many other gay people approach these issues and their voting criteria differently, and I respect that. That's their call, even if it's not how I choose to operate. What's the phrase again? Live and let live? Why has that been turned on its head into agree or else? Let's debate issues and stop trying to punish wrong thinking. Like I said, I'm a Christian, a patriotic American, and a free market, shrink the government conservative who happens to be gay. That's how I choose to rank my priorities. You know what that's called? It's called progress. I'm Guy Benson for Prager University.
Now, I've been a unabashed fan of Gay Benson ever since I saw him on Fox for the first time. I was impressed with how erudite he was for such a young person, how good he looks on camera. Interviewed him several times on the radio, and this is the first time I even knew he was gay, and could care less.
Well, that's the thing. I literally don't care.
No, I don't either.
And I think that that's why, again, conservatives do think for themselves, and we are much more tolerant because it's like, you're allowed to have a different opinion than me. You and I don't even agree on everything, you know? So I do think that it's very important that we continue to allow people to debate issues. And I think that that's what the left has done so well, is they've shut down any sort of debate or conversation about, if you disagree with us, we're not talking about it.
We need to have debate teams back in our schools.
It was one of my favorite classes, and it was always a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But it also taught you, if someone didn't agree with you, it also taught you that it was okay, and that you could handle those emotions of being upset about the fact that someone was trying to tell you were wrong. I don't know. I think it helps you cope with those things, which we are not seeing in this country right now.
Yeah, exactly. And it is sad because we see families breaking up because, you know, one of them voted for Trump and the other one didn't, and suddenly Thanksgiving dinner turns into a riot.
Well, and not even just husbands and wives, though. I mean, I see it in, some of my family too.
Yeah.
Where, my mom's mom did not vote for Trump, and is definitely someone that has maybe a little bit of that derangement syndrome, and has done things to my mother that I just am appalled at. So I do think that it has turned us into a very divided country, even within our own families.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I've known these separations in families over these minor, what seem to be minor issues that are just pathetic and sad.
Yeah, I hope that we can get it together as a country, but it's not going to be fixed overnight. We didn't get here overnight, but I do think that we need to start talking to each other and treating each other like human beings.
And then at the same time, when reality dawns on somebody, it's really amazing. The Communist News Network has come to the conclusion that maybe there's something to this Hunter Biden thing.
Potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Ellie, glad you stuck around here. So when we look at this evolution, it really is quite the evolution in a fairly short period of time, according to the New York Times. I know you've noted on multiple occasions just how long this investigation had dragged on. Have you ever seen a federal case play out like this before?
No, Erica, it's really inexplicable to me. I mean, first we had basically 5 years of behind-the-scenes investigation with no transparency, no action, and some questions being asked. What's taken so long? But in the last couple months, we've seen a pattern here, and Marshall just laid it out. We've now seen it play out 2 or 3 separate times. DOJ moves towards a very lenient disposition. They're just about to lock in that lenient disposition. And then there arises pressure, either through whistleblower testimony or through public scrutiny. And then DOJ backs off and says, actually, we're not going to do that now that it's been called out. We're going to try to up it a little bit. And then that happened again. And then they go all the way to appointing special counsel, the same guy who's been presiding over the case for 5+ years already. So I genuinely am perplexed by what DOJ is doing here. I think they've made a real mess for themselves, and now they're going to have to deal with the consequences of it.
So in terms of the mess and those consequences, look, public trust is certainly one of them. Is there anything that you see that DOJ could do, based on your experience, right, as a former federal prosecutor, to restore public confidence in this investigation? Is the only way to fix this a trial?
It may be, Erica. You know, DOJ's sort of been in a darned if they do, darned if they don't posture on this from the start, but they've made it way worse by sort of careening back and forth here. It may well be that any deal is never going to be accepted as fair. So if I'm in David Weiss's shoes here, heaven help me, I would just say, look, we're charging everything we have. We're not in position to make a deal. It'll go to trial, and we'll let the jury decide this. I think that's the only way to restore any credibility to this matter.
Ellie, appreciate it as always, my friend.
Restoring credibility.
Yeah, boy.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. How about a clean house?
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, and Steve Statton says, sometimes you feel like the government has been taken over by the DMV. Yes.
Yeah. And
It does feel that way
and that's
sometimes, doesn't
sad.
it, Steve?
And remember, please, to donate to FEMA because they may not have enough money during the hurricane season, the peak hurricane season. Maybe they ought to quit staying in $1,000 a night hotel rooms when they come see us.
Exactly. And Mary McCann Hybrider says, united we stand, divided we fall. And creating chaos and division is classic Marxism. Absolutely.
Yes, sirree. There's nothing new about it.
No, there's definitely not.
All right. Back to wrap up the week tomorrow.
Yes, and thanks so much for tuning in. Remember to tell your friends to follow and subscribe to Get Real America. If you know any small business owners, encourage them to advertise with us and support our broadcasts. And remember, you can always subscribe or become an investor or just like and download our app.
See you tomorrow. Remember, you can't spell Democrat without R-A-T. Stay real.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.